Conatser is my name, and Carriage Lane Farms located in Nicholasville, Kentucky, and I've had my own stable since 1974. Can't do the math, whatever generation this works into.
And before you had your own barn, how long were you training horses before that?
Well, I grew up in the horse business. My father was a professional horseman. Matter of fact, I would like to brag and say my dad was the second guy inducted into the UPHA Hall of Fame. So horses have been my life. My father was a professional horseman, and horses that's all we talked about. It was eat, sleep, and live horses all day.
So when you first started, did you work for your father first?
Well, it was the thing of, as a young child, growing up around the barn, going to school, getting off, coming to the barn in the summertime, working at the barn, and it just evolved. And my father didn't really want me to be a horse trainer per se. He wanted me to get a real job, you know. But I'd say by my sophomore to junior year in college, I was pretty much sold on being a horse trainer.
Who is or was your biggest role model?
Well, without question, my father. And he was a great basic horseman, and I just loved watching him work horses. After him, I'd say Tom Moore. I think everybody back in that era idolized Tom Moore, and after him, I'd say Fritz Jordan.
Okay. Did you ever work for Tom or Fritz?
I worked for Fritz for about 6 weeks when he first moved to Tennessee. I went over. His farm was 4 or 5 miles from ours, and I went over for a month and a half and helped him get set up, and went to the first horse show he went to when he was stabled in Tennessee at Rock Creek.
What is your biggest accomplishment?
Well, I would say, as far as a horseman is concerned, winning the amateur gaited stake and the amateur ladies stake on Saturday night at Louisville 2 years in a row. And maybe after that, I love that I won the 3-year-old walk trot stake or national futurity 10 times. I'm very proud of that. And I'd say next in line would be winning the amateur and ladies 5 gaited stake at Louisville 10 times.
Fantastic.
Yeah. So I'm very proud of those. And then after that, the class that really got me rolling was in 1980. I won the 3 gaited championship at Louisville on Saturday night. At the time, I was the youngest guy to ever do it.
So you think that was kind of like a breakthrough?
That was the breakthrough. That was, I would say, the aha moment for me.
What is your biggest light bulb moment that you've had while working a horse or teaching a rider?
I'll say this, and I'm going to relate it to another sport. I've played a lot of bad golf in my life, and dealing with that and relating it to giving lessons to riders and realizing that they're not the ones that are getting paid to ride. I am, and to try to put myself in their shoes as far as their skill level and how it can relate to what they do. Everybody's a little different, as we all know, and people really appreciate tolerance. Hey, there's a lot of people that want to be coach sergeant when they feel like they've got a chance to grab the brass ring, or they've got a special horse that they know that they needed getting pushed over the top. They really want coaching, and I've had several people that wanted hard coaching, and it's fun coaching hard. It's fun being immensely critical of people because you're close to doing something special, and and there's a few people that really like that. By and large, I feel like uh, people wanted to do as I did with bad performances in golf lessons. They want to have a nice time and get better.
What about the courses? Have you had anything that you felt like throughout your career you remember as like a moment that changed the way you think about working horses?
Yes, I bought a horse from Jim Kohler back in the day. His name was See the Sights, and absolutely one of the gamest horses I've ever been on. Uh, when your seat hit the saddle, you had to start riding when he came in the barn. And I remember telling the guys, if I ever get this horse, I want my training diploma. And finally, he turned into a beautiful mouth horse. He was so aggressive, but he got where you could ride him with two fingers. And I wound up being second in the gaited stake at Louisville with him to Don Harris, with protege, the great Don Harris. And that horse probably taught me more than any other horse I've ever trained.
Okay, so who was the most challenging horse that you have trained and why?
I would say the Daily Lottery. He was such an intense horse, and he was the same whether he was in the show ring or at home in the arena. It was just you and him by yourselves. He put the same amount of effort. The horse never dropped an ear, even though I don't think he was really looking at anything. He was just happy in those respects. But you had to manage his energy level and his intensity with a lot of calmness. And I'm very proud that we were able to win 3 amateur gaited stakes with Gabe Deckmatel, and I was the only person that ever put that an amateur on that horse long term. I know some other people won some classes with him, but we had sustained success with him. Gabe lost one class with that horse in a 4-year span, and it's incredible in that division. He was a warrior. He was physically tough. He was mentally tough. He was gifted. His endurance, his longevity, are their history shows it's unrivaled what he accomplished, and I think that's the most proud I am of any one horse I've ever trained.
Share a funny story with us.
In the late 70s, in the gaited stake at Louisville, 2 of the legendary, iconic names in horse training were showing there at Louisville on Saturday night, as I say, in the gaited stake. And it was none other than Red Crabtree and Jim B. Robertson. And after a hard-fought first workout, the announcer called out the numbers that were going back to work to see who was going to come out on top. Just so happened that neither Jim B. or Red had their numbers called. And Jim B., being the shrewd guy he was, Red Crabtree being the brilliant, impetuous person he was, were talking in the lineup. Jim B. had figured out, in order to get his entry money back, that one horse was going to have to leave that ring. There were 11 horses in there. 10 of them were going to get money, and one wasn't. He looked at Red and said, "Red, you are riding such a nice horse. You ought to be out there on that workout. If I was you, I would take the gate. Red took the gate, and that made sure that Jim B got 10th place, got his money back.
How would you recommend to our next generation of trainers and instructors to give back to the industry?
Oh, that's easy. I think the United Professional Horsemen Association is the greatest vehicle to get involved in leadership in our business. From going to Washington D.C. and meeting with Congress, or to the local level as far as being a chapter chairman, if you're getting involved in the horse business as a young person, go to your chapter chairman, ask what you can do to get on a committee. I've been chapter chairman 3 different times, and I've been on committees from one. Since I've had so many young horses in my career, I'm the chairman of the Classics Committee at Kansas City, and been on the advisory board at the Kentucky State Fair for over 20 years. But get involved in committees, get involved in running horse shows, get involved in being the chapter chairman or the treasurer or the secretary. Find something to do, and when people find out that you're willing to work, they'll call on you. And I would say the UPHA is your best bet to give back to the business, and it'll just explode from there. I would say I have never taken a night off in this business. I have never mailed in a class in my life. I've said from day one, when I was so wet behind the ears that I was asking questions, and when I went to see a horse at somebody else's barn prospectively to purchase it, I would say, "Do you think I can keep this horse up?" Because you don't know until you do it, until you prove it to yourself. Most importantly, you just don't know. And as far as presentation, I was always big on presenting a horse perfectly, because I knew that hard work could do that, and anybody can work harder. I mean, some people are more gifted than others. Some people are just more talented. That's the way it is. In this life, you can't do just anything you want to do. You can try hard, but some people just have the predisposition to be great at music or science or horse training. And the great thing was that I was born doing this. I had so much experience. But if some of these great athletes like Seth Curry or Tiger Woods or John Rahm, the great Spanish golfer, had decided to be horse trainers, I'd probably be rubbing horses for them. So there's so many brilliant people out there. But as I say, I can truthfully say I have never taken a night off as far as presenting a horse. And my work ethic, it's a personal thing to me that my horses represent the day-to-day commitment that I've always had.